Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Anxiety Simplified podcast. And I'm Joanne Williams, and I'm here to share some powerful strategies I've used with my clients as a 30-year mental health professional to lower anxiety simply. Bringing this right into your own home, we hope this can make your life just a little happier, less stressed by using these strategies I'll share with you today. The summary of today's podcast is our teens are getting more overwhelmed than you may be aware of. And I'm going to share 4 strategies for what you can do to understand this, why this may be happening, and how to help them. And these 4 strategies, you can actually not only help your teen, but your teen's friends to develop skills to deal with some of these imposing emotions. So, summary, the signs that our teens are struggling to cope, the stressors with certain groups that can make it worse, and 3 factors that come together to create a sense of hopelessness and despair that you really want to watch out for, and how you can help with 4 key strategies you can use today, and how you can really help by understanding yours and your own child's attachment style. But I really, really, really want you to hear me. As a 30-year mental health professional, we are having a mental health crisis with our children. They seem to have been spared the health consequences of COVID-19, but they are not being spared the emotional toll. And that needs to be addressed. And that's what I am here today to address with you. But I heard a statistic that scared me so much. It should scare you too, that I want to share. And this is from the organization Mental Health America. And this was an online study of 1.5 million kids, 11 to 17 years old. And I'm going to put the link to this in the narrative or the show notes so you can see this for yourself, because I'm not going to go through the whole thing, of course, but I want you to know about this and please check it out. And this 1.5 million students that were 11 to 17, the teens took a depression screening starting in September 2020. So this is recent data. And 50% of the 11 and 17-year-olds reported in this study were having suicidal thoughts in the last 7 to 14 days when they took this survey. 50% of these teens were thinking about, having thoughts of taking their lives. I'm pausing here. This is really important because this needs to be examined. They are weighing their options to live or not live. And this doesn't mean that they will take their life, but they are considering we call them ideations about it. And the next question would be, do they have a plan to figure out how they could follow through with this? Or our job is to find out how seriously they are thinking about this. We all need to take this as serious as a heart attack. This is part of a shadow pandemic that is affecting our children directly. This test or this survey is what I use to diagnose major depression. The screening test is called PHQ-9. It has 9 criteria, 9 symptoms of depression. And this is one of the questions on the depression screening test. If you're having thoughts of wanting to hurt yourself or harm yourself in any way in the last 2 weeks. So this is a reliable, incredible test. And again, it's done online with no adults watching or listening. So it actually may be more accurate than just asking them in person. and give us a better understanding of what our kids are thinking and feeling at this age. Many times teens are very uncommunicative. And with us as parents, or if asked, they may struggle. I don't know, may not even, and so they may not even understand this themselves. And I'm going to tell you why in a minute. Or even know that they are depressed, or that they are that unhappy. It feels normal to them. And this is why they can do impulsive things and do harm to themselves. Number one cause of death in teens is accidents. So some signs you can look for in your teens are changing their behaviors, not interested in things that previously they had always been interested in. Physical signs in their bodies, the way they carry themselves, slumped shoulders, no energy, more negative talk. Hopelessness is one of the biggest keys to suicide. There is nothing to live for, no meaning or purpose. So you can watch for these things, not socializing, things that normal teens would be doing. Yes, most teens withdraw and are moody. That is not what we're talking about. This is like 4 steps beyond that. And you can't even just ask them, are you suicidal? Are you sad? Because they don't know. They don't know what to say. So you need to be more direct with your questions, like what you're seeing. Your shoulders are slumped. You're spending more time in your room. You seem very unhappy. Are there some things we can do together today? So I'm going to go into that in more detail. But don't ask them like open-ended questions like, are you okay? They don't know what to say. Ask them what it appears they're doing. You're spending more time in your room. You seem lonely. You're not connecting with your friends. Some kids will verbalize things, but some kids won't, that they're going to harm themselves. So don't expect them to tell you if they are going to or thinking about harming themselves. A parent told me yesterday in a private session that these were the exact signs that they were seeing in their son. And they figured it out, that he was feeling he had no purpose because he didn't have the same team sport that he loved to do and really lived for. So she immediately got on the phone, figured out where a similar team was playing, and weighed the risks of COVID-19 and decided his mental health was more important than getting sick. I know these are trying times for all of us, and there are compounding factors that I am sure you're aware of as a parent that you are dealing with. And we may not be able to help our children to cope better if you don't know how to cope better yourself. As we all know from personal experience, human relationships can deeply affect us emotionally. They can either enrich or complicate our lives, and teens are no different. Not surprisingly, the root of anxiety, which I see leads to overwhelm and can lead to a depression, may lie largely from our childhood. Our early childhood experiences shape our later relationship, romantic and otherwise. We humans are very social. Other people are really important to us. And you can learn skills of what to do to help your child. This is not something to worry about. This is something to take action about, to get involved in now. You can ask for help at school, at church, or from a counselor. There is help out there from your medical insurance. But we have to get involved in what your teens like to do. Get into their world, what they want to do, because they are in this phase of development where everything is about them. and everything is pronounced and exaggerated in their minds. Oh, it's the end of the world if this doesn't happen. And I do think hormones have a place in this. And this stage is about finding their own identity. And in high school, finding their social identity is everything and how they fit in and belong. Do you remember how hard it was as a teenager? It was not easy. Remember what it was like. So maybe you can be a little more sympathetic. And adolescents may actually offer adults useful lessons. For adults, high social status, solid friendships, and dating relationships can protect them from social anxiety, which can support their mental health with better decision making and less feeling of overwhelmed feelings, being left out that can lead to depression. Conversely, exclusion or aggression or troubled best friend relationships promote social anxiety. So, watching adolescent social groups and behaviors may actually offer some useful lessons for adults. Belonging is a natural state for all humans, and belonging to high status groups can boost self esteem and reduce loneliness for all of us. Victimization by peers, being excluded, aggression can cause anxiety. This is why bullying needs to be stopped and intervened with. If the young adult cannot figure out what to do, they need help. They need somebody by their side to help them figure it out. High quality friendships can reduce the impact of low peer acceptance. One friend, one adult, one important person in their life can make a life changing effect. You only really need one solid friend, one really good relationship, or one positive adult relationship to make a difference. Positive close relationships can reduce social anxiety, while not negative friendships interactions can increase anxiety and feeling like you're on the outs or not belonging. Positive romantic relationships can reduce social anxiety, while negative romantic relationships can increase anxiety. So, kids are watching you, learning from adults' behavior. So, healthy relationships in the family can make a huge difference. Even even if the teens don't want our help or think that we are totally stupid and we don't know anything, they still need us and are listening to you and your advice, but they may not show it for years. Keep talking to them. They are listening and taking everything in, but you will never know it, maybe. So talk to the other teens or talk to the other kids and just make sure you're sharing this kind of information. We know that all of the problems going on with COVID in schools they're not having the same level of normalcy or uncertainty is abound, and without the same social interactions that they had a year ago. So they're not even getting the same social skills or interactions as they did. And and then there's so many other factors that we do have some hope with vaccines that are coming, but we still have over 550,000 deaths that are affecting our families. I see that one of these deaths from COVID affect at least 10 other people, like coworkers or a friend of the family, or a spouse, or a grandparent, or somebody associated with the family that they know and may need our help to assist the family out with this grief, or to help the family member to get through the day or get through the day at work, just to keep everything together for the rest of the family's sake financially. And if my calculations are true, that's over 5 million people affected with loss, grief, just this last year because of COVID, more or less the other issues that are compounding this. The report that I'm sharing is going to be in a lake. That it's staggering though. And we need to be shouting this from the rooftops. But unfortunately, it's really hard to hear. And for some, it's just too much because we can't take another bad thing happening. God forbid to our child who has mostly been spared from this virus. But I'm going to share one more new statistics from this Mental Health of America, that 10% of youth in America have severe depression, mild, moderate, severe. That is where these thoughts of harm are found. 1 out of every 10 of our children. Look around you. This may not be your child, but it may be your child's friend. That's going to affect your child. The highest rates are among youths who identify as more than one race at 12%. So they're getting it even more, harder than other. And then if you put any children of, that are having identity issues with transgender issues, it skyrockets. They're 40% have a suicide rate. And then most staggering of all, 60% of our children do not receive any mental health treatment. 60% of our children do not receive any mental health treatment. We as an American society have managed to classify a set of symptoms of feeling overwhelmed, tired, poor concentration, feeling like a failure into a classification to feel ashamed of, instead of looking at it as if we need to teach life skills. These are just skills of how to manage or cope with these feelings, these emotions, without ever being taught them. It's like we never taught, but we're expected to know what to do with them. And if we are a parent that are avoiding seeing the signs of overwhelm in our kids because we don't know how to manage them ourselves, what are we to do? But there are things you can do. The answer to these problems are not that hard to fix or understand. Teach skills like we do math skills to understand how to add 2 + 2, or learn the skills needed to manage emotions. You can learn from your computer. You can learn from teachers. You can get a book. You can do things. Just like we have 50 to 90,000 thoughts per day that can go towards health, thinking positive. I can do this to feel good about yourself and feeling happy no matter what, or away into depression, or thinking we are a failure or worthless and things are hopeless. That 50 to 90,000 thoughts per day are so much more than we think about 2 + 2 in our day. And yet we haven't considered learning emotional skills as a life skill in school. Ask for them. Make sure they're in social groups. Make sure there is proper supervision to make sure there is no bullying. And then the cognitive understanding is a compounding this issue, in that kids don't even start to have the cognitive ability, the frontal lobe thinking ability, figure out how to understand their emotions or deal with their emotions until they're starting at age 12, till they're 25 years old. That part of the brain is still developing. The thinking, cognitive or higher brain skills of how to figure out how to deal with problems, feelings of failure or self-worth or emotional issues continue to develop until they're 25 years old. Ever notice a male can't rent a car until they're 25? Why is that, you ask? They haven't developed the emotional cognitive skills to be trusted to rent somebody else's car and be responsible for it. They need our help. And look at these kids that bring guns to school because of anger, seeing maybe no way out, so depressed, they just nothing to lose. Suicide in teens is the second leading cause of death only to accidents in the US. Guns in the home increase the possibility of both violence and suicide, according to everytownresearch.com. Everytownresearch.com. And there's 3 factors that come together to create a sense of hopelessness and despair. These three risk factors are current life stressors, prolonged stress like a pandemic, financial because of pandemic, emotional stress like bullying, harassment, and it's their attitude towards it and the support that they receive as part of what they can do will save them or not. Number two, historical risk, previous suicide attempts, family history of depression or suicides, childhood abuse, sexual, physical, neglect, traumas, or any kind of abuse. It could be car accidents, they hit their head, physical trauma, family losses, grief. Lethal means of harm at their disposal, including firearms, could be drugs too. Easy access to things like a computer to figure it out. They are learning how to cope from you, the parent, or their peers. Which do you want them to learn from? You or their peers? If you, as a parent, don't understand how to manage your own emotions, get some counseling, buy a book, listen to my free podcasts on anxietysimplified.net or an Apple or a Spotify. On all the major platforms, there is plenty of free resources out there, or pay a professional counselor. Learn these skills, just like you had to learn calculus, or just like you have to do things for your job every year. Learn these skills. They can be learned just like any other skill. And I truly believe that this is even a bigger issue with teens. I think it's really finding their meaning of life or purpose and connecting to it. Connection, I think, is the key. And I think we don't often give it the time it deserves as a philosophic way to look at this at life until college, maybe because of their lack of cognitive understanding. But I see the real message. They're searching for some deeper meaning to connect to that's bigger than them, something with more depth than social media, social comparisons. So here are four things that you can actually do. Connect in any way possible. More fun with each other and the family. Get out in nature, have fun, hike. Get in the pool and bounce a ball around. That's what I did with my grandchildren. It was fun. We laughed. You connect. Have them join a team. Team sports are great. I know COVID, it's going to be a risk. Look at the probability. Connect with a church group or a church to understand maybe higher meaning. Social group that's very active, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, that maybe you can be a part of. Teens are in a developmental time of separation from their parents and trying to find themselves and their purpose and their meaning. The more experiences they can have in different areas, the quicker they know what they don't like to know what they do like. Let them safely experiment. And if you can be a chaperone and just witness them from afar, you will begin to see your kids' strengths to encourage them to move in that direction. Number three, get a dog or an animal. It could be a gerbil, something they have to, bring them purpose. They have to feed, they have to take care of. They can learn responsibility or something other than themselves. If you do want help and understand maybe how it has to be an emotional support animal, if that's important to them, for you can have them in housing, you can contact us. You can go to esapros.com for an emotional support animal, or if you really feel they need a psychiatric service, it can only be dogs, you can also go there to find out more on how to deal with this in a different way so that you can have them in housing. This is really important. Have them volunteer, or you volunteer with them. I don't care where it is, what it is, just volunteer. Give to somebody else. It gets their kids out of their head. But make this a priority. You know they're going to be out of the house before you know it. So these are very important times. Figure out what they want. Do something with them they like to do, even if you don't. just like any relationship, there is give and there is take. And right now it is give, give, give to the teen. Or at least just don't be so stubborn and don't see this as they're bucking you and bucking the system. That's part of their job. Your job is to help guide them, to put boundaries down. We really can't depend on anybody else to do this, or schools or government. Even, but you have to be the role model for healthy ways to manage both your thoughts and your emotions that lead to the behaviors that we are seeing in both our kids and society. We really don't have much of a mental health system to teach these skills in our schools. Expect it. See if you can start something in your school. On the back of your insurance card, there is an 800 number for the mental health services that your healthcare will provide. There are community services in every town practically. Now we're doing therapy, on the computer. So there is other ways to do this. And then you're going to see what works. Because we need to just continue to do what works to get to them to feel successes in their life. And so we are kind of left to figure this out for ourselves or to pay for it ourselves. And I do feel like it is the best investment you could ever make in yourself and your family than you could ever make. I think even more than college. Get the life skills to understand how to manage your emotions, and your kids will follow your example. And I am going to make sure there's a download in here that you can download this report. And there's also an article that's referenced the state of mental health in America. But this podcast is by no means a replacement for therapy or any medical attention if you need it. Reach out. Take care of yourself. If you or anybody you know is thinking of hurting themselves, please put this phone number in your phone so you can just hit it and hand it to a friend, or have it available so you could give it to your child. There's always somebody standing by at this number. Please take this down now. It's 1-800-273-8255. Again, 1-800-273-8255, or call 911. And remember to practice the skills. This is what it's about. You got to practice these skills to learn them that we share today to really feel more joy in your life. And you can contact us at anxietysimplified.net if you want to have further understanding or services, and to find out more about an emotional support animal for housing or a certified psychiatric service dog to go anywhere to really feel the calm with your child. And please remember to share the love. Bye for now. Thank you for listening. We really would appreciate if you would show your support by rating, reviewing, and subscribing to our podcast, please. Or share this with somebody you think this could help in some small way. Bye for now.